Can you remember the first time you gave away a little piece of yourself?
Mhm.
Can you remember the first time that you were told that your thoughts, feelings, and needs were wrong? Unfortunately, this is the messaging we give to many little girls in our society today. We are taught to be quiet, stay small, and listen to others over our own voice inside. As a result, we learn to be untrusting of ourselves and learn that others' opinions matter more than our own. We learn that the very parts of ourselves that make us vibrant and unique do not belong in this world. When I think back, I can see the little girl I used to be. I can feel her vibrant radiance that sparkled inside of her. I watch her and wonder as she dances around the room wearing nothing but the skin she came into this world with. She is boisterous and bold. She marches to her own beat and feels everything deeply. She is beautiful and pure and does not conform to any rules. I often wonder, what happened to that little girl? Where did she go? I distinctly remember disconnecting from this little girl at the age of 5. This was the age I was when I went to school, when I left the little protected bubble of my house, where the only approval I looked for was from my siblings and parents, and left the safe haven of my mother's unconditional love and acceptance. In this new world, I was told how to look, how to act, and what to feel, and I learned quickly that I needed to please in order to belong. Those qualities I admired about myself as a young child, they weren't loved by everyone else. They were deemed too much in my early years of school. I expressed myself too much, I was too loud, I was too determined, and I had way too many feelings. Too much was the song of my early years. So I began to suppress myself. In a way, if I look back and close my eyes, I can feel those parts of me getting ripped out of my tiny little fingers. It was not necessarily in a traumatic or violent way either. It was in the little things. It was in disapproving looks and being told to sit down and be quiet. It was the tired look on my poor mother's face when I needed to tell her about how someone hurt my feelings for the umpteenth time in the day. It was the laughs from my peers or watching my other friends getting bullied for doing something that I wanted to do. It was not wanting to be the outsider. It was my own desire to fit in and be normal. It did not take long to conform and to figure out how to be that version of myself that they wanted. This is when I started to learn to please and I started to lose myself. I believed that the very best parts of me were wrong, and this void began to build inside me where my light once radiated. I began to look for ways to cope with the emptiness I felt inside and eventually developed an eating disorder. This quickly became one more thing that was too much. Around the age of 9, it became noticeable that I was much bigger than most of the kids in my class. I learned quickly about the value that society places on our bodies. Again, there was something wrong with me that did not fit the standards I was supposed to fit into. And I began to believe that I was disgusting and undeserving of love and respect. I've come to learn that I'm not alone in my experience. Did you know that 7 in 10 girls do not believe that they're good enough or don't measure up in some way based on the way that they're perceived by others on their appearance and performance? Studies have found a distinct drop in girls' self-esteem and sense of self-worth between the ages of 11 and 14. In high school, I went searching for ways to fill that void, to feel worthy and deserving of love. And I went searching for them in all the wrong places. I started to put more effort into the way I looked by dieting and starving myself to become acceptable. I used alcohol to numb and medicate the emptiness I felt inside. I let boys treat me horribly, say disrespectful and awful things to me, and then have full access to my body. always feeling like I deserved whatever I got. I began to give away pieces of myself because I believed that if I gave away enough of myself to these boys, I would somehow become worthy. I would finally have proof that nothing was wrong with me, that I was lovable and I wasn't disgusting. However, instead, each time I gave away another piece, the void only got bigger. It wasn't until I was 26 years old and found myself in a dangerous situation that I could see I deserved better. I'd been backpacking in Italy with some friends, and after a night out drinking, I found myself alone in an apartment with our wine guide. I could feel the fear sweep across my body as his touches that once felt sweet on the dance floor turned aggressive. I remember becoming very aware of the fact that I had no way to contact my friends when he began to ignore my request to stop. I remember feeling so stupid for putting myself in that situation. As he continued to touch me, I was silently reassuring myself that I could get through it, that it was once again going to be okay if I gave away a piece of myself to this man, that I could put his needs and desires before my own. But something came over me that night. It was as if everything inside of me said no more. No more would I give my body away to a man that did not deserve or respect it. No longer would I give another piece of myself away. I knew that I had to fight for myself, that I deserved to fight for myself. This was the first time in my life that I experienced myself as worthy enough to fight back and take care of my own needs, to listen to the voice inside of me rather than the expectations of others. This event uncovered my eyes to the poor treatment I had accepted for many years in my life because I thought so little of myself and I believed I deserved what I got. In the healing that I have embarked on since that night in Italy, I have uncovered many truths about my life. The biggest one, nothing was ever wrong with me. It was the expectations and societal norms placed on me that did not belong. In those early years of my life, I was taught that the very essence of who I was did not have a place in this world. The qualities about me that brought light into my life were frowned upon and shamed out of me. I was taught that the way I acted, thought, and felt were not right. I learned very quickly that I needed to trust others' opinions over my own, and I needed to learn to please in order to be accepted. I stand here today to shine light on the crisis we're facing with girls in our world today, to paint the picture of a vicious cycle that leads to low self-worth, dangerous pleasing behaviors, and violence. What if the prevention of mental health, disordered eating, risky behaviors, and violence started from the day she came into this world? What if we started to look at how we take away little girls' voices, how we teach them before they can even speak that they need to trust others' opinions over their own wants and needs? What if instead we taught her to take up space, be unapologetic, and stand for what feels right in her soul? What if we didn't teach her that her value came from her body and the approval of others, but instead was about the light that has always been inside of her? I stand here in this moment, my heart connected to yours, to tell you that nothing was ever wrong with you. The system was never designed for you to be right. Today, I ask you to join me in deconstructing the paradigm in which we have been raising girls. If you found yourself in pieces of my story, I want to encourage you to start looking at your own. When did you learn to become untrusting of yourself? When were you told that your own thoughts, actions, and feelings were wrong? How old were you when you learned to please, to let go of your own wants and needs in order to conform? After you've asked yourself these questions, It's time to say no more. No more will I give away pieces of myself and live with the void inside. No more will I believe that my worth is determined by what I have to offer the world or how well I can conform to the expectations placed upon me. I know that these are big asks and easier said than done. But this unraveling will come one woman at a time. I ask you to stand with me today and say no more so that we can change the conversation. We must rewrite a new story so that the next generation of girls will never endure the loss of their light. Thank you. Some of the things that I shared in this talk were the first time I've ever said them out loud. And as my sister Lex said in her talk, that there's a difference between belting it out proudly or whispering it meekly. After sharing these thoughts and these feelings and my experiences out loud, I feel that I can truly step into that woman that, that stands for no more. The courage that I decided to bring forth to have these conversations. And I see some, like my mom's on here tonight and some of her friends. And I had a lot of shame around sharing these things with people from who I grew up with. But I think about the little girls in my life. And some of them, I can see that process happening. And I think that there's no better way to stop that or prevent that from happening than to speak these words. And I think that that takes courage. And I'm so grateful to have had the support to lift me up so that I can, share this message and hopefully make a change in even one girl's life. So it's been incredible.